Hello, my name's Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at a place called Farley Mount in Hampshire. It's located about 8 miles west of Winchester and a similar distance north of Romsey. And we're going to be walking a roughly 5-mile figure of 8 route. We'll be checking out the Farley Mount Monument before heading west along the Clarendon Way, turning back along a Roman road before heading north along an old track, and we'll be looking out for a boundary stone. And then we'll explore the tiny village of Ashley before returning to Farley Mount. And we'll also be passing by a couple of small Iron Age hill forts. Now I'm filming in the middle of May. It's one of those glorious sunny late spring days, quite fresh, but yeah, a little bit of blue sky, but quite a few clouds as well. But it should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Now, I've still got the remnants of a bit of laryngitis. I hope that doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the video. Okay, well, let's kick on with the walk. I've actually parked my car at a free car park, I think it's called Juniper, which is near Westwood, and walked along to Farley Mount. There is a little car park a little bit nearer. Well, I keep mentioning Farley Mount. Well, let's have a look at it, and it's just behind me here. Now, we try and plan these things. Hasn't quite worked out today. As you can see, it's absolutely covered in scaffolding. Now, as you can see, it looks like there's some conservation work going on, but let me tell you about it anyway. I may well have to put up some archive photos so you can see what it looks like in the flesh, as it were. And it's a folly that's also a monument, indeed a burial place of a racehorse called Beware Chalk Pit, which carried its owner, Paul A. St. John, or I think it's called St. John, isn't it? To win a race at Winchester Racecourse, which was at Worthy Down in 1734, a year after falling into a 25-foot deep chalk pit whilst out hunting. Now, the mound here was probably from the Bronze Age, may even have been earlier, and I believe it also might have been the site of a beacon at the time of the Spanish Armada. Indeed, the hill round here is called Beacon Hill. But quite a few historians aren't actually sure of the exact date it was built. It doesn't actually show on a 1759 map, but it must have been built before 1772, as the plaque doesn't record St. John's baronetcy. A building does show on a 1791 map, and then on an 1810 map it shows as Farley Mount Monument. I have seen an engraving published in 1861 that shows it with a cube bottom and a pyramid roof, but it was restored and almost rebuilt entirely in 1870 after it had become dilapidated and covered in graffiti, and the cube base disappeared. It was restored again in 1950 and 2014. And it's 20 foot high on a mound that is 30 foot high. And as you can see, there's porches on each side. One is an entrance and 3 of the porches are blank. Well, right next to the monument on the sort of eastern side is a trig point, and our regular viewers will know that will have to be bagged in the customary fashion. Certainly up by the monument there are some quite stunning all-round views. This is looking over to the sort of south, I suppose. You can see the crops really coming on now. Fields just full of that lush green colour. Beautiful sight in front of me though. Now, just as we leave the monument, looking out to the west, somewhere out there, there was an Iron Age enclosure. It only actually shows on a current Ordnance Survey map, and it was probably just a stock enclosure, and it was circular, covering about 2.5 acres with 2 banks and a ditch. But as you can see now, it's all been ploughed over. It's very difficult to make out. Okay, well, we've now left the monument. Shame it was covered in scaffolding, but there you go. I'll have to see if I can find some archive pictures to show what it looks like. So we're now going to start heading westwards along a track, part of the Clarendon Way, that 24-mile long distance path that goes from the River Itchen at Winchester all the way to the River Avon at Salisbury, and it passes by the ruins of Clarendon Palace. Oh goodness, just check out this view. So this is along the top of Beacon Hill, looking over to the north, and hard to describe really. Different shades of green as well, and I can hardly see any houses. Well, an important part of the route for folk that might be doing this walk after seeing the video. We want to carry on along the Clarendon Way and ignore the restricted byway to the left. Well, this is a great spot just to show you where we'll be going next. So we're heading downhill off Beacon Hill along the Clarendon Way, and shortly we're going to meet a country lane. I can just see in front of me, and that's an old Roman road, believe it or not. We're going to start heading eastwards, almost sort of backtracking, and then where those trees are there should be a footpath bearing off to the north or northwest, and that should take us along a track. Well, just before we start a little section along a road, just come down a lovely little track across a field. Perfect place for some Whippet zoomies. Cue the music. Well, we've left the Clarendon Way. We're now heading eastwards along a little country road. It was once a Roman road that went from Winchester to Old Sarum. Now, where I'm standing now, just to the right of me, if you look at an 1886 map and also a 1958 map, there was quite a large pond here called Barn Down Pond, but looks as though it's long gone, and I don't think it appears on a current map these days. Okay, another little update on the route. So I've come off that little road and now joining a track that's going to take me northwards, again through some quite beautiful countryside. Well, this is a super part of the walk along here with some terrific views either side. But I'm going to keep my eyes peeled because there might be a boundary stone somewhere along this route. It certainly shows on a very old 19th century map and also on a 1958 map, but it doesn't show on a current Ordnance Survey map, so it might have gone. Let's see. Well, we've come to the end of that track. We didn't find any boundary stones, I'm afraid, but it was a lovely section of the walk, shaded in parts, and some quite beautiful views of the countryside either side. Okay, well, at this point we're going to join up with a little road, follow that for a short distance, and then we're going to look for a footpath that's going to take us to the little village of Ashley. This is the footpath that I'm looking for. It's going to take me off the road, and looks like it's going to take me across a field and through the trees in the distance there. Well, this is always how it should be, really, how a footpath is clearly marked across the field. So well done to the farmer for doing a good job there. I had to stop and take this view in. So following this footpath to Ashley, and I'll give you a sort of pan shot, and it really is quite something. I don't know what's in that field in the far distance. It looks as though something's been staked up. Difficult to see from here. And then just looking around. So it's one of those days when there's quite a bit of cloud. So one minute it's really, really sunny, and the next minute it goes quite dark, which is actually keeping us nice and cool. And this is the sweet little village of Ashley. And it's not very big, but there are a couple of things for us to explore and have a look at. Well, this quite enchanting little church is the Church of St Mary's, and it dates from the early 12th century. The chancel was extended in the late 12th century, and the porch added in 1701, and there were big restorations in 1858 and 1895. But it was closed in 1976 and now looked after by the church's Conservation Trust. And it consists of, well, just a nave, a very narrow chancel and a south porch. There's no tower or bell turret, but there are a couple of bells that hang within a sort of niche under the west gable of the nave. And it was probably built to serve Gaynes Castle, which is next door. We'll have a look at that very soon. Right, let's have a little peep inside. I love the wooden door with the studs, and then there's the font on the left hand side there, and then the two Sallys, some old photographs of the church in years gone by. An interesting object standing next to the door. I wonder what that was. Interesting character poking out of the wall there. And just wandering through the nave, there's the wooden pulpit on a stone base, and then moving through to the chancel end with the altar. No stained glass windows as far as I can see. Interesting, looks like wall painting up by the window there. A fascinating little church. Well, just to the east of the church is the remains of a castle, Gaines Castle, and you can just see the banking in front of me here. Originally there was a small Iron Age hill fort here, but a castle was built well, in 1138 by a chap called Henry de Blois, the Bishop of Winchester, but it was destroyed in 1155 and repaired or rebuilt in around about 1200 by William Byway. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. He was Lord of Ashley Manor here. And they reckon that King John probably stayed here when he was hunting locally. But it was a ringwork and bailey castle with a round tower, and it covered about 1.3 acres. But it became a residence for the bishops of Winchester right up until the mid-15th century, but it was eventually abandoned in the 17th century. The main house in the village is Ashley House or Ashley Manor, which was built in the mid-19th century, but it's well hidden. But well, I can show you the gates. What a sweet little place Ashley is, full of very pretty houses and quite beautiful cottages. Okay, so we're now going to head out of the village back into the countryside. Now the footpath that we came in and are going back out almost looks as though it's going through somebody's back garden. In fact, well, you could easily miss it, but there is a little footpath sign up on the side of this sort of garage door here. We've now left Ashley and we're heading eastwards along footpaths over fields, and this should take us to the bottom end of that track that we met on the outward journey. Well, a little interesting area here. If you look on a map, it shows as Roman settlement site of just to the south of Ashley Wood. And originally there was an Iron Age hill fort on the south facing slope of Ashley Down, and there's evidence that it was reused by the Romans. And it's about 10.7 acres, and there's a single bank about 9 metres wide and 2 metres high in places, and an external ditch that was 8 metres wide and 1 metre deep. And of course there was a Roman villa discovered in the late 19th century over in West Wood in the Farley Mount Country Park area where we parked our car. And that was excavated in 1965 and a mosaic recovered, which is now at the Winchester Museum. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, the views today have been incredible. So, yeah, now we're just about to join up with the outward bound track that we were on. It sort of heads along the bottom of that valley. Oh, it looks so peaceful, doesn't it? Well, we're now very much on our homeward leg. We're just about to join up with a quiet country road, and we're going to follow that uphill back to our car at the car park. Sadly, no pub today, so no beer and crisps. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the final end scene here in front of the Farley Mount Monument. Well, what you can see of it behind all that scaffolding. We hope you enjoyed the walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. Good boy.